Okay, I'll call the Utility Service Board meeting to order. We'll have a roll call. Ashley. Here. Stan.
Here.
Jen.
Here.
Carla.
Present.
And Ron, I'm here, so all five of us are here. Okay, we're going to suspend the utility meeting temporarily so we can talk about the comprehensive plan with Klein Peter Consulting and the budget hearing. So Jen, you want to take this over?
Sure. So I'm sure you all remember when we had that income survey done to see if we would qualify for some grants, and we did. So now we have Greg and Brandon here, and I'll let them take it over, and they'll tell us all about it.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and do the public hearing part now.
Oh.
I think Brandon can update you on the income survey.
Perfect.
Well, members of the council, hi, good evening. My name is Greg Weimer with Klein Peter Consulting Group.
Greg, do you want to grab that podium so that you can have that microphone in front of you? You
Sure.
can hold the microphone, or bring the whole thing to you.
She's got a beautiful voice, Greg. We all want to hear it.
Yes.
Oh, it's wireless.
You can take it out of the thing if
Yeah.
you want.
No, that's
Whatever
wireless.
works for you.
So,
Yeah, that's
yeah. So anyway, we're here today to conduct a public hearing for your comprehensive plan. The town has expressed an interest. We will be applying to the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs for a $50,000 planning grant. You will be matching that with $6,000 from your general fund. The comprehensive plan will look at identifying and establishing vision and goals for the next 5 to 10 years for your community. The plan will specifically look at, and these are things that are required by OCRA, land use, government and fiscal capacity, public facilities, placemaking, community wellness, culture, education, economic development, housing, transportation, agriculture, natural resources, parks and recreation, broadband access, and historical and archaeological resources in your community, and any other topics that you think are pertinent to your community. I think an excellent additional one would be addressing your future growth potential because of your proximity to Lafayette and to Indianapolis. We need letters of support for this grant application. So if any of these topics specifically tripped your trigger and is of interest to you, please, as elected officials, or if you know members of the public who might be interested in submitting a letter, we would like to have those as soon as possible, but certainly by the end of this month. We also will be doing a voluntary residential survey. And Jen has a copy of the survey now. We've proposed a number of questions. This really takes less than 2 minutes to complete this on SurveyMonkey. But it is voluntary. We'll put it out there on whether it's on your website, Facebook, or however, to let people know about it. We're going to submit your application on November the 12th, and then OCRA generally, I think, and within a month, they announce the recipients. So really, it's about close to Christmas time. We ought to know whether or not you are funded for this project. With that, I'd like to just simply open the floor for anyone who would have a comment. The purpose of the public hearing is to advise the public of what we're intending to do, applying for federal money as well as spending some local match money. So it's open for questions and comments.
Question to council members, where would this survey be available?
Oh, wherever we can get it out. Facebook, the website, I don't know where else to put it.
It will be on our website for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he needs the survey soon, but I was thinking maybe I could send it to the council, just if there's questions you think should be added or questions that don't really fit for our town. And then I can get it to them as soon as possible.
Yep. The survey asks questions like, what is your vision? At talking to residential folks who live here, what's your vision for Dayton? If you had to describe your wish list for Dayton, what would you put on your wish list? Those kinds of things. So And then it asks, where do you live, where do you work, where do you play? That's going to help us get a little bit of demographic information as far as, you know, how many, you know, just basically folks who live here, work here, play here. Anyone else?
I just want to say that I think it's super important that we get this, that it's super needed. We don't have an updated plan. We don't really have a plan at all. And I'm most excited about the Parks and Rec and the land use, but I think all of it's super important. And it'll be nice that Dayton, like the town, the residents, everybody is going to have some input on where we want to go and what we want our town to look like. And so I'm excited.
Okay, very good. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just think it's very important that we establish a vision for the town, you know, and let everybody know where we want to go with the town.
Stan, thank you. And how do you pronounce your
Tiger.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone from the public? Okay.
Oh, there's one.
Since
Yes.
you asked.
Okay, yes.
Cindy Marsh, 749 Shady Lane in Dayton. And I'd just like to say I am thrilled that the ball is rolling on this comprehensive plan, because I think it's been needed for a long time to give some texture to the way we grow, and to actually put a plan to it instead of just haphazardly letting whatever wants to go in, go in. So it's much needed, and I'm really excited.
Good, good. Excellent comment. Thank you. Anyone else? That fulfills the requirements of Oprah and the public hearing. If the grant's awarded, we will do one more public hearing after the comprehensive plan is finished. So maybe in about a year from now, we'll be doing this same thing to share with the public the results of the planning study and so on. So it's a process that could take nearly a year. And the one difference that is different from what Oprah has done in all their other rounds for comprehensive plans, we used to pick the consultant who's going to do your plan up front before we submitted the application. Now they're asking that wait until you know you have the award, and then we'll go through the process of selecting that firm. So it's going to add a little more time, and that firm's going to have to condense. They're just going to have to get on the ball and get their planning done a little bit quicker. Thank you very much. That's all I've got, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brandon, do you?
How y'all doing? Brandon Watts with Klein Creek Consulting, and we conducted your income survey. Income survey went real smoothly. We got the address list from you guys, compiled a list of randomized addresses, did a first mailing out, got back quite a number of good responses back. I think we in total sent out 3 different mailings. And then for Oak Grove, the requirement for your low moderate income percentage should be is above 51%. And your town qualified with the 58%, which is good and bad, but really good for your application. It's going to score really high. So other than that, do you have any questions on your income survey at all? I did give Jen a copy of our income surveys. In there is the methodology, just explain all the numbers, how we got them, then your master list that we received, also your first mailing list, and the list of addresses that responded to the surveys. And at the end is just your final numbers of showing how you got 58% to qualify. So, any questions on the income survey? Thank you.
Okay, so in order to apply for this grant, there are papers that need to be signed. Reed's already looked through all of them and didn't see any problems. And So I guess I just need a motion, or this is your meeting, you can do it, but we need a motion just to allow Michelle and I to sign whatever papers we need to apply for this grant. So I'd make a motion to allow Michelle and I to sign whatever papers necessary to apply for
second it.
this.
Oh, we have a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second to go ahead and have Michelle and Jen sign needed papers for this grant. So we'll take a roll call vote. Ashley,
Yes,
Stan,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Carla,
Yes.
and Ron. I vote yes, so it passes 5-0. So thank you guys for coming and good luck on everything.
Yeah, Jen,
Doing good stuff.
there is one resolution in those
Yeah.
set of documents, so I think we should just have a motion to adopt the resolution.
Okay. This is the resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Dayton, Indiana, authorizing application submission and local match commitment. It was in your guys' Dropbox. You know, do I need to read it? Or-
No.
Okay. Do we know what resolution number this would be?
So it would go to 14 then,
Okay.
as the ordinance and resolutions are together.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I move to approve resolution 2021-14, resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Dayton, Indiana, authorizing application submission and local match commitment. Second.
We have a motion for resolution 2021-14, which Jan just read off. We'll take a roll call vote. Ashley,
yes,
Stan,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Carla,
Yes.
and I vote yes, so it passes 5-0. So do we need to sign some papers?
Yeah, can we just take like a 3-minute recess to have Michelle and I sign these?
Let's take a 3-minute recess.
Okay. Would you pass these down to Michelle? Thanks. Do you want to follow along?
So my interest needs to be on this, as I'm the fiscal officer. So can I write it in? I'm always not.
I know that's.
So is this me here then?
Hey Brandon, is this just me?
Yeah, there's
So you want my name typed in?
Is that ours?
Right here.
we haven't done yet.
Yeah. Why did I read them?
We're retired now, so.
All right.
We're retired, nice phones.
Yes, it is. Get to the,
Yep. Very good.
right.
License. If you guys.
So one of them is also a copy of your sign sheet. Because one of these letters This isn't one of those. No.
Greg, is this just me too? Oh, okay. 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 Okay.
You sign your life away when you apply for one of these, so.
I'm buying a house, what is this? Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
it's your party.
Yeah, and the resolution
Oh.
is in here.
Mm,
Okay.
do you need it? Michelle
Well,
needs to sign
I
this too.
would like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
we'll have to have, Michelle, again, the test.
And I will be.
We'll get a copy. Is there a copy back here? Okay.
Hello, can you please help these find yours?
I decide.
No, we, oh. Brenda's like, I didn't sign up for this.
Thanks again for everybody's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Take care, have a good evening.
You too.
All right, we need to also talk 2022 budget hearing. Jen, you want to take this over also?
So the 2022 budget hearing, this is just an opportunity for the public to give their opinion. So, are there any members of the public that would like to speak? Okay,
Cancel the, just,
so September 30th, we're gonna have another budget work session, to finish going over all those line items that we had talked about on the phone. For the sake of time, we're not gonna do it this week.
They're at 6.
6:30?
I don't know, I didn't. I feel like 6 was in it, I just can't remember if it was 6 or 6:30.
Oh, man.
I'll have to
Maybe it was
go back and look
6.
at the email. I just didn't want to.
I mean, I saw the email, I just,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, it's,
I just didn't read.
All right, I'm gonna go good.
Would you like me to attend that work session?
I'm fine with you not.
Good with-
Yeah, 6 p.m., yes.
is it 6?
Yep.
And is that
Good
going
looking.
to be a phone or is Janet coming here?
I think we should probably do it on the phone. So we don't have to pay for her to travel all the way up
Yeah,
here.
because she's 2 hours from here.
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay,
it's
so-
a phone meeting.
yeah. Let's do it.
okay, you done with
Okay, yeah, I guess that concludes the 2022 budget hearing.
that? Okay, getting back to the utility meeting, our attorney Reed Murtaugh, do you have anything?
Nothing for this meeting.
Okay, thank you. The adjustment report will hold off again until we get the audit. The state money, Jen, you wanted to explain this?
Sure. So there's a resident that applied for help through the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, that program that they were doing to help with rent and utilities. And Bridget's been going back and forth with them. She had to like send them some stuff and then they asked for more stuff. So this person has been approved and their pledged amount is $1,734. And the amount they owe right now is $1,167.20. So the amount we're going to get is greater than what they owe right now because this program pays ahead. But the problem is, this person is obviously so far behind that they should be on the disconnect list. So I wasn't sure if we needed like an actual vote to like not disconnect this person, or if any of the council saw any problem with not doing this since the money is pledged.
Do we know how long it'll be before the funds are due?
No, Bridget asked and they told her, we don't know, we can't give you a date. They were gathering other things from people that aren't us, so.
I just think we ought to put disconnect on hold until, and you know, that's,
Yeah, I guess we could just address it at each meeting and see where it's stand.
But she's definitely got the documentation and everything.
Yes,
for it.
yes. Yeah, it's not, and that's the thing, it's not just somebody coming in and being like, no, I got the money in 5 days, or whatever, like it's
It's your-
official, I guess, so,
I think it would be best to do a vote to document that.
okay. I would move to suspend disconnection of accounts that have pledged amounts from the Indiana Housing Community Development Authority that cover their amount owed.
seconded.
Should we add any time period to that? 30, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months?
Like Carter was saying.
At least we
each-
should readdress it and see where we are.
Each meeting. They readdress it.
So I would add to my motion that
So it'd be 30
that's
days.
for this month, for 30 days.
We have a motion and a second to delay this for 30 days, pending for getting paid, so take a roll call vote. Stan, Ashley,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Carla,
Yes.
and Ron. I vote yes, so passes 5-0. Okay, the old notary stamp, we're taking that off. There's several things that will need to be disposed of that when Bridget gets us a list that will,
It won't be Bridget, it'll be me, it's in the safe.
when someone gets us a list, we'll bring it up and we'll do it at that time. Okay, utility report, Mark?
Okay, the first item we have is the annual water test. That's the trihalomethane test that's required by the state. Trihalomethanes are a byproduct of using chlorine for disinfection, and usually there's a concern if you have too much chlorine in your water, which we don't, but it's always a required mandatory test by IDM, and it's come back good. So just letting you know that we did follow the proper protocol and got that taken care of. On September 1st, had a visit from a consultant that was doing this survey for the EPA. So they randomly pick small water systems throughout the United States, and we were one of them. What they want to know is what problems you're having. Primarily, it kind of focused somewhat on lead and copper because that's what most of the rules coming out of the EPA are concerning. Fortunately, we just had our lead and copper testing completed, and they all came back good. So they did want to know about any needs we had. I told them primarily it was I'd like to get some what's called sampling stations so that we have a more representative sampling. I always take the samples from here at Town Hall just out of convenience. Plus, if a sample would come back bad, I hate to get it from Jen's house or from the gas station because then I've bought them into the concerns, you know. So I got a cost estimate on these sampling stations, and of course they have to be frost-free because we're going to do it year-round. And just did a north, south, east, west, so 4 of them. Told them we had a need of around $10,000 for the purchase and installation of sampling stations. You know, our system is so new. Many towns, systems were put in the 30s and 40s. A lot of small towns had their water systems put in right after World War II. There was a big building boom after that, and those systems were breaking down. But really, just because of the age of our system, we're in very good shape. We don't have any lead service lines. All of our system is, well, 95% is ductile iron, and it has a long life expectancy. All of our taps coming off of it are copper. Town did a good job whenever they did have a system put in. I just gave them the information they asked for, and I think we'll get a copy of the overall report of small systems in the United States, but I'm sure that'll be sometime down the road. The CCMG, or community crossing status. So, of course, we have 2 contractors, Midwest Paving. They've said that they would hopefully get started early October. Pavement Solutions, who has the smaller contract, which is the crack sealing of several streets, and then the seal coat over here on Republican. They said they're going to get started before the end of the month. So, well, today's the 13th, so probably here within the next 2 weeks we'll see some movement on that. Hind Drive, and this is something that Ashley brought to my attention. So on the north side of Hind Drive, where they've cut the road ditch now. This is at the Truck Indiana facility. So that road, the ditch was much, the front slope was much gentler and went farther back. Now it's a little bit deeper. It comes right up, especially on the west end, it comes right up to the road edge, and rightly so. Ashley said, hey, do we have a concern about this? We get traffic on that road edge, it's going to start breaking off the asphalt there. So I went to the general contractor about 3 weeks ago, put in a request for a 2-foot rock shoulder along there to keep that from happening. And I noticed today, this afternoon, they were at least doing preliminary work on getting that rock shoulder put in. So although it wasn't part of the original plans, they were not reluctant about doing it, and I think it'll be helpful, you know, because it will break off if we don't get a shoulder on there.
Hey, Mark?
Yes.
While we're talking about that, I was down there yesterday, and on the east end, when you pull up, it'd be on the left side of the concrete they come around on their east corner. The concrete comes around and heads west along Hind Drive.
Yeah,
It looks like it's substantially lower than even the lowest part of the edge of the road.
You talking about the curbing?
The curbing, yes. Where the other spots, it's up more that you can add asphalt and bring it over and get it the right level, but you ought to look at that.
I will, I haven't noticed
It's
that.
like a 1.5-foot drop, it seems like.
Okay, I'll
Like
take
you're
a
gonna
look
have
at
to
that.
bend the edge of the road down to get it down in there.
Well, I know that all of that, for the width of their entrance, counting the radiuses, that Hind Drive all gets milled out, and that all gets new asphalt in there.
And it looks awful, just look.
Quite a lot, I'll take a look at it tomorrow. Stormwater, so we've gotten 3 of the 6 easements back. So we have 3 left. I had mentioned at the last meeting that I was going to wait till after Labor Day to send out a second reminder letter, and Bridget got that sent out on the 9th. So those remaining 3 homeowners have received a friendly reminder that we're needing it because we'd like to do this work this fall if possible. And my last item is vacation. I'd like to take a week off in October from the 16th to the 24th. Now, if we have something going on then, which I suspect we will, especially the community crossing, I've already checked with Mike Smith of BFNS to make sure that he would be available if needed to help out on overseeing any concrete work. I mean, the milling and paving, you do want to pay attention, but the concrete work, it's more permanent, I should say. So, and he said he would be available for that time frame.
Did they ever get, did BFNS ever get back to you on the pond down at Baker Farms that has to be redone?
No, actually, I reached out to the developer on that, and yes, that's, and I told him, I said, it's sooner the better.
Yeah, it's dry again.
It's down 3 feet from where it was at one time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, we need to get that and move forward with that so that front pond doesn't, it's not supposed to hold any water.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's more of a retention basin than a wet pond.
And the one that everybody on Facebook was saying spilled out went over Dayton.
Yes, yeah, you're right. That's tied in, several of the curb drains on the streets back there are tied into that, and that's what happens. Any other questions about anything? Okay.
Hey, thanks, Mark. Any public comments? Trish?
Not on this meeting.
Okay. Okay, council comments? Ashley? Stan? Jan?
no.
Carla? I've got a couple. This morning I saw a couple guys, a lot of people have been asking about all the construction signs along 38, and there's some guys up across from the post office from the state, so I asked them when those signs are coming down, and they said they're leaving them up until probably October the 15th when they get the crosswalks painted, and then everything will come down, the first to the second week. So a lot of people have been asking on those things. A couple people have called and have been on Facebook about Mark. Could you check sometime, or maybe you have, about a four-way stop sign out here? What's needed to do? Do we need to do a new survey of the traffic or whatever from the state? We need to contact them and think about that. A lot of people are asking about that.
You thinking a stoplight?
Well, stoplight, before, when we did the surveys years ago, they didn't have the traffic on this road. But now, it's definitely going to have the right amount of traffic as soon as that subdivision's done, that maybe we ought to get it in the works so that it might be 6 months, a year till they do a survey.
Okay.
Or, and some people were asking about a four-way stop. Now, I don't know what the state would say about these things, but you might check into it.
I will.
And then, one last thing is, when we had that meeting on the roads and everything, we asked for several triaxle loads, so the public knows this, several triaxle loads of the ground up chips, because we're going to cover the lift station, top dress the whole entire lift station on the west side of the interstate with chips, so we don't have the mud and the gravel and the weeds and everything like that. We'll just pack it down, and McAllister, I've already talked to them, they're gonna loan us a backhoe, so we can just spread them all around, and then I'll level them off and everything. Then we won't have to keep redoing that all the time. All right, okay, any other comments? Okay, we'll adjourn this meeting and turn it over to Jan.
Thanks. Okay, this is the September 13th, 2021 Dayton Town Council meeting. Ron already did the roll call, and we're all here, so we're still all here. Next on the agenda is our attorney, Reed.
Thank you, Jen. First is UZO number 102, changing the definition of lot. So this proposal has basically been done because of the amount of times that property owners have to either do a replat or hire an attorney to do an exemption E deed, basically just because how houses were built kind of haphazardly over lot lines in the past. And so the city of Lafayette has had a different definition of lot that is more flexible, and it says an area of land, of streets, including adjacent areas that are used as one. So that would be the main change. So you would have a lot less reason to do a plat or a vacation in front of area plan. So this would apply to all the unincorporated towns as well as areas of West Lafayette. So that's basically what you're being asked to consent to.
It's a good idea, they need to do it in a while, because
So you just need a motion to approve UZO amendment number 102.
I move to approve UZO amendment 102.
second it.
Okay, there's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Ron to approve this amendment. Is there any discussion before we vote?
There's only 15.
Oh, thank you. So this is ordinance number 2021-15. How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that passes 5-0. Do I just sign this, or does everybody initial this?
I sign it there and the initials it, right?
It's got presiding officer and then clerk treasurer.
Yeah, and then
But-
everybody will initial.
And then we do initial it, okay. We'll get it, if everybody could initial this before we leave, we can give all this to Michelle tonight. That way it's all taken care of, so we don't fall behind. Okay.
Thank you. Next is the voting ordinance. So this is the second time that we'll be introducing, or we're going to be voting to adopt on second reading. So this is going to affect 37.15A. So now we'll read that one member of the town council shall be elected from each ward by the voters of the whole town. Said member shall reside in the ward that he or she represents. 2 members shall be elected at large by the voters of the whole town. Said at large members can reside in any ward. So you'll just need a motion to adopt the ordinance.
And this was 13? Okay. I move to adopt ordinance 2021-13, an ordinance amending the code of ordinance for the town of Dayton, chapter 37.15, election of town council members.
I second it.
Okay, there's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Stan to approve this ordinance and adopt it. Is there any discussion before we vote? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that's adopted 5-0. And everyone initials this as well, right?
It should be the same.
Okay.
Next is the sidewalk ordinance, public sidewalk replacement program. This will be adopted on first reading, so we'll need a motion to waive formal reading and adopt on first reading. The only change from the last time that we talked was in section D. So instead of money being paid to the clerk treasurer, we changed it so the property owner shall pay the contractor directly, show payment in full before the town council will approve the reimbursement.
And this will be ordinance 2021-16. Okay, I move to waive formal reading of ordinance 2021-16, an ordinance adopting 93.11, the public sidewalk replacement program.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to waive formal reading of this ordinance. Is there any discussion? Okay. How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Carla,
Yes.
and I vote yes, so that passes 5-0. I would move to adopt on first reading ordinance 2021-16, an ordinance adopting 93.11, the public sidewalk replacement program.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to adopt this on first reading. Is there any discussion? How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that passes. So now a motion to actually adopt it?
Correct.
Okay, I move to adopt ordinance 2021-16, an ordinance adopting 93.11, the public sidewalk replacement program.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to adopt this ordinance. Is there any discussion? How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so it's adopted 5-0. Do you have anything else, Reed?
Lastly, I have decided to resign from being town attorney effective at the end of the year, and I've submitted a letter, so greatly appreciate the opportunity to serve and enjoyed working with all of you.
Thanks, Reed.
Thanks, Reed.
Okay.
Nice to have
Good to see you go. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So next on the agenda is potential attorney letter. So with that being said, I have reached out to some attorneys, and I have a letter here from one of them. Did you guys- and then this is some standard terms of engagement that was set up with it. So this is from the Ryan Moore Cook Triplett and Albertson law firm, and what I'd like is to have an executive session before our October meeting, to have them come so that we can ask them any questions. I think it's October 18th. So our meeting is at 7, so executive session at 6:30.
So Jen, did you say the 18th?
Yes, because October 11th is Columbus Day, so our meeting got bumped a week.
October 18th,
Yes.
I won't be here.
Yeah, I won't be
Okay.
here either, I'll be out of state, it's fall break for, first week, so.
Okay.
I guess that's why I scheduled my vacation after the board meeting, but
Oh, no.
Well, that's why I do the same thing with the adoptions, we've always had the meetings on Columbus Day,
Oh,
yeah, so, except for last year.
which that's fine, I can submit a report, but I'm just,
Do you want to just move it to a Tuesday? Same week?
well, people will still be gone.
Yeah, I won't be back until Wednesday.
So you're going to fire week? I mean, if we normally would have had it on Columbus Day,
No.
just move it to Tuesday.
Oh, you mean of that same week, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if there
Instead of moving the meeting a whole week later,
So
just
make
move
it
it one
12.
day, and a day later.
Well, the problem is, so it's been advertised, when we first put all the meetings at the beginning of the year, it's been advertised as the 18th, and actually our budget adoption was going to be October 11th, because that's what they submitted, but then when we realized that our meeting was actually the 18th, we asked to have that budget adoption moved to the 18th, so now that's also the budget adoption, and it's been advertised for the 18th.
And we can always change it again, I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
set in stone, because we're so far out. I mean, it would be nice if 3 of us are gonna be gone. We can change it to 12.
What is it?
The 18th sounds okay to me.
Back sometime after the 2 weeks.
So you're leaving on the 13th? And
You
you're,
want to do a meeting
I'm leaving
to
on the
do
15th.
So you're saying just move it to Tuesday
The 12th.
instead of a week? And you don't think that would be a problem with Miranda?
No, you just change it, I mean, it's so far out.
Okay, so let me make it up. Okay, so then our regular monthly meeting will be changing as well. So that will be October 12th, Tuesday at 7 p.m.
And then I will email her tomorrow.
Okay. And
Sorry,
then,
who's Miranda?
My DLGF representative, yeah.
So I'll call an executive session for October 12th, that Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. If for some reason that doesn't work out with these people, then I'll have to change it, but hopefully that will work out.
So the executive session is at 6,
6:30?
6:30
On
on
the 6th?
the 12th.
Yes. I was thinking half hour.
You think that'll be enough time?
I can do sooner if you guys want.
It's for the budget.
No.
Potential
Lawyer.
or attorney.
Yes.
So is that something that I can attend to see if that they could potentially
Yeah.
see what their thought is?
Yeah. Yeah.
So no.
No.
No,
It's an executive session, but it's like,
Basically, just an interview with them.
kind of, yeah, asking questions, whatever. So 6:30 or 6 o'clock? What do you want to do?
I think 6 would be better. Give us
Okay.
some extra time.
Okay.
Yeah.
6 o'clock executive session on October 12th, and the regular meeting is also being changed to October 12th, on a Tuesday, not a Monday. Okay. If there's no questions about that, then we'll move on to the next thing, which is the 2022 fire contract. Did you grab the original?
Yeah, I have 2 of them.
So everybody got that as well. Last year it was $20,000, this year is $20,500. So I would move to approve signing the 2022 fire contract.
Seconded.
Okay, there's been a motion made by myself, seconded by Stan to approve this fire contract. Is there any discussion? Okay, how do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that passes 5-0. Michelle, who needs to sign that? All of us, is that correct?
I think this is just you and I, or, no, this is just, yes.
Okay, so we'll add that to the things to sign before you leave, if you could, that way we don't fall behind on getting stuff signed. Okay. Next is Town Hall, the handrail out here. Ashley was kind of doing this, and then he met with just you, maybe? But then, so this is, the way I was explained it, is that there would be like a rail going down the center. Is that correct? Is that what you guys discussed?
It was recommended to us to have it mounted either in the center or offset of the center. So that's about a 7-foot wide area out there. So maybe it would be offset 36 inches on one side, 48 inches on the other side.
So I wasn't there, unfortunately, so I don't know if this would be possible. But what about, instead of, because like, to me, a rail up the middle is like, if it was a big expanse and maybe like the side was too far away, so in order to use the center of it, you put a rail in the middle. What if out here, like on this corner and this corner, we just kind of have like a rail kind of going around the corner, like one on each side instead of one down the middle of the,
He mentioned that, but we could add that also, and I think I looked up at the Presbyterian Church. That all looks nice, and I think they have a rail mounted to the building. But Jen had mentioned to me when I told her what was out there, maybe a corner one, so whether you went up the right or left side, you had that rail to hang on to. And I think you were saying eliminate the middle one, maybe.
I was thinking no middle one. Just because it kind of, like to me, like if somebody's coming in and then they're standing there and somebody's coming out, and then like, well, I can't back up, there's a rail, and I've got to open the door to go around the rail, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a wide enough area. I'm not an expert, but it just seems like if we had a rail on each side, so if you come up or down on this corner, or come up and down on that corner, that would be good enough.
Actually, when we were there, I think that even if you put the one in the middle, I think you need to add the little ones on the corners too. For anybody, you know, they come up from that way or they come from over at this sidewalk and they sort of round that corner and grab on.
So those would go all the way out to the sidewalk?
No, they would just be corner ones. So as you step up those 2 steps, you would grab on the corner. You know, nothing would be blocking that sidewalk. Jen had brought up, and then I thought about it more, and was looking coming down the road. This building's sort of with a rail. You come down the road and you see that rail coming out right almost, it'll look like it's coming out right to the edge of the sidewalk, which it would. And
Let's stop a little bit before that, but yes.
And before we decide on that, maybe we want to even hold something up there, because it might look sort of goofy too, coming down the road, you know, in the historic building. So,
Well, I can appreciate that, but you do have a step down there. You know, I mean, there's a step from the sidewalk
yeah, on the very bottom.
to the, what I would think of as the first step to the town hall, and then the closer you get to town hall, the more steps you have, so. I think if you have a handrail, you want it to cover all your steps.
Yeah. I think,
But I understand the.
I think the rest of them need to get out there and look
Okay, so we-
more. And maybe then you're right, maybe put the whole rail and the corner ones or something.
Yeah, I mean, put it on the corner or whatever,
I think you need to have it next to the building, because some people want to stay close to the building, they feel better, instead of out in the middle someplace. Older people, you know, want to stay close to the building, it makes them feel more secure.
Yeah. I encourage everybody to go out there and walk it and think about where that rail is. So if you're, entering the building and you're walking up, if the rail was to be in the center, the rail would be on your left side. Okay, when you approach the top step, it's 48 inches from that rail to that door, okay, and most people can hold a rail and move their hand to grab, to open the door. On the other side, it's 36 inches if it's offset. So if a person favored using their right hand, they would walk up the left side of the rail, using their right hand on the rail. They'd get to the top where it's completely flat, and they'd still be holding onto that rail to walk around the end of it to grab the door handle.
And you're right, when we opened the door out there, you needed that few extra inches on the side closest door so you could step back and open
Yeah,
that
kind of help
door.
with clearance and negotiating around.
Yeah,
things.
and if you came, even if you came up the other side, then you step up and walk toward the door, and you got plenty of room.
Right.
So how far in to this little area does it come, and how far out onto our?
We can suspend this meeting, take a recess for 3
Okay.
minutes and walk out here. And I can, Ron and I can kind of show you what the guy was thinking.
That may help, yeah, okay.
So, what's wrong?
I think we don't keep like minutes.
Well, what I was thinking is if it comes down too far down here, which hopefully it wouldn't, be pretty big, but like if there's like.
We'll put the rail.
No fair. They'll be done before I get out there.
So, this is, correct me if I'm wrong, we measured this is 7 feet. So the top of the rail, and I don't have a tape measure. The top of the rail, we start here, go down.
Oh, I was thinking that we need to do a code update.
Yes, the color sheet. Right, everything on there.
Yeah. So, now that I was wanting to wait until we got most of the changes done.
Okay,
So, now that we have the voting ordinance and the sidewalk,
yeah,
I think we should go ahead and do that pretty soon.
I figured that's what you do. Where's you got pizza? You want?
Yeah, because we just don't know how many people are gonna need some.
I'm just gonna go out there and show them how it's done, Cindy.
Yeah, go ahead. They need somebody in charge. Go ahead.
Oh, God, I don't know one thing fell back. Yeah.
And I already have to
I'll make it that day.
You know, I'm surprised there's not some kind of public building access code that guides them on exactly where it needs to be. Although it's not an ADA compliant, but I would think that, I know whenever I sold a home one time and it had 3 steps going up to the front porch. And they said, hey, if you have more than 2 steps, you have to have a handrail.
I'm trying to figure out.
So there's rules for everything, you know.
You know, you might be onto something.
I think that, but there's only 2 steps, and I think it's controlled by the number of steps.
Makes sense to me, though.
Believe me, I know the Kyoto, I have 9 employees. Thursday, in order to get open at 9, just to stay open in the day.
Because I also got some people going in there. You know,
Oh, I see it on camera.
because, you know, like, getting on the CC.
It's tough. I don't want to be closed. Well, I told you I didn't think I had it. Oh, we did have a celebration of life. I had a wedding this weekend. It's coming weekend. A celebration of life. And then we got homecoming after the following. We're just saying.
That's good though.
Yeah, and I just got booked for 2 weddings and a holiday party.
Students need it.
Search game.
I think it's only like 17 minutes. Since I can't reply to anything. He's probably like, where's the We're on a timeout, Steve. They're looking at the handrails. The non-existing camera. How do we not have one on him?
I fell off that curb like 3 times.
We had a resident who slipped on the ice on here.
I've done it in the summer. Somebody called me name and I turned around and fell right off the edge.
Hand, and you hope, you don't, or you grab here and swing it. A lot of people don't go and swing it.
I saw them. I saw them do. So I saw her jump.
Yeah.
Like this week, I was
figure it out.
He's more worried about
I'm
himself.
worried, yeah, I'm worried about myself, I'm not worried
I'm
about you.
gonna hold the other three and ten out.
You'll have to come in for handrails.
Well, the doctor knows what we're reading.
Kind of permanent.
Yeah, not really. Maybe you get that.
So first car hits it, come around that corner.
It's a joke. All right, so the handrail, so you're gonna get a quote for handrail straight down the middle of that. Yes?
And an option for the sides too.
Yeah, get a little side.
Yes.
I mean, at least get the estimate for the optional. We don't have to necessarily do it, at least see what the cost would be to do it, what if we want to.
It's probably double the price of a single handrail.
Well, then, maybe just do,
You know, I mean, you might add, you know, what if we did it all at once versus what if we wanted to do it down the road later? See what I mean? If it,
Might save a trip charge or something, but.
I don't know.
no, we'll know things.
Okay. Haley's required update, Ron, what's that? You have this.
I thought I said, I don't have it with me, but I thought I emailed it to everybody. Basically, you called up and said the touchpad out there in the hallway is obsolete. They need to put a new touchpad and guts in it to update it so you can have all the current stuff in there. And it'd be with labor, I think around $365, $75 or something. So we need to okay that to go ahead.
And it wasn't really an option, right?
There was no option, no, it's either, yeah.
Okay, so I would. Go ahead, what you're saying.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion to spend up to, say, $400 for the update on our touchpad security thing in there, down the hall with Haley's.
Seconded.
Okay, there's been a motion made by Ron and seconded by Stan to allow Haley's to update our out-of-date touchpad. Is there any discussion before you vote? Okay, how do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla? Yes. And I vote yes. So that's 5-0. Will you let them know?
Yes.
Okay. Agenda item number 7, please. Marshall Taylor.
Well,
Hi. Thank you.
Too small, can't see it.
I'm sorry. I'll read it. That might help things out. What I have on here is 2 amendments that I would like the council to entertain adding to our employee manual, the Town of Dayton Employee Manual. And how we arrived at this, basically, as y'all are aware, we've been trying to hire a full-time deputy marshal for the last couple of months and have not had any interest in that. So Ron and Jen and I have met trying to discuss some things that we could possibly do benefit-wise to, as an incentive to get more people to apply. Now, there's 2 paragraphs here. The second one, which addresses the full-time marshal and deputy marshal may carry over unused sick days from year to year and accumulate a max of 20 days. We already, or the council has already voted on that late last year, early this year. I can't remember when it was. It's been so much time ago. But I went ahead and added this so that we can have a piece of paper to slide into our policy manual that documents that change that was made. So that's for the second paragraph, and we've already discussed that in the motion in the past. So what I'm proposing on the other one, and like I said, Jen and Ron and I met a couple times discussing some things that we could do, and this was what we decided on a general consensus. And I'll just read it and then we'll explain it. The council has the option to consider the vacation benefits of a newly hired full-time marshal or deputy marshal who have experience directly related to their position. The council may offer vacation benefits in accordance with that experience and with consideration on the time of year starting employment and other factors as deemed good for the town as set forth in the salary ordinance as amended at the time of hire. So what this would give us the option to do, first of all, let's say our current vacation ordinance reads that a person must work for a full year before they get a vacation, a week's vacation. Then they must work another year, so that during the start of their third year of employment, they would get 2 weeks vacation. So why I'm asking for this consideration for past experiences, we're hiring an officer that is coming in with some experience. We don't hire anybody that's new off the street. Our policy is that they have to have the academy, they have to be academy trained and have worked, I think, 2 or 3 years before we would even give them consideration. So we're hiring an experienced officer. We're not starting somebody from scratch as we would, somebody that hadn't been to the academy or general labor or something like that. So this would give us the option to offer them vacation at the start of their employment. So we would, at the time of hiring someone, discuss what that number would be. It would not be set in stone, but generally speaking, my recommendation would be to start somebody, depending on the time of year, giving them a week or two during that first year of employment and not having them wait 2 weeks. So that's what I feel this amendment would allow the council to do, to have that consideration. Doesn't make you obligated to offer anything up and above, but I think it gives you the option to do that, and more importantly, it would give me something to refer to when I'm listing the benefits that a new officer would have applying to our department. I think it would help in saying you could possibly get 2 weeks of vacation at the start of your employment. Now, obviously, if we started somebody in July, we're not going to give them 2 weeks to take between July and December. I would like to see it more like a 1-for-1. So if they were hired in July or August, they get 1 week. If they were hired in, say, November, maybe they get 2 days. And maybe we just say, well, you wait till the first of the year and then we'll start you with 2 weeks. So that's kind of my mindset on that. So I know we've kind of discussed this before.
So
Any further discussion?
I've researched this before, and what was determined on how to do it is these type of benefits have to be adopted by ordinance. So one way to do it is to change the employment manual and adopt the entire employment manual by ordinance. Another way to go about it is we could change our, we could prepare a benefit ordinance for the first time. So we're including these type of things in a separate ordinance instead of the employment manual. I don't remember that we made a change by ordinance to the sick days. I believe that we just discussed that, and that's where we left it. But
I remember discussing that, I remember passing it. And I have some questions actually on this, but I'll let you finish this.
that's all I have. That's where you guys are at procedurally, and the rest of it, for the council's discussion as far as what you want to do.
So even if we're not saying this is what you get, like we're not saying these are the vacation benefits, we're just saying we want the option to offer vacation benefits, it's still the same? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not saying that if you get hired in July, you get a week. We just want to say, you might. But that's the same, it still needs to be
Well, whenever you do the hire, you're gonna have to come back and do it by ordinance. So you're, in order for that to take place, you're gonna have to do it that way.
So would the ordinance though need to spell out, like, if you were hired in January through March, then you get, 12 days. If you were, like, does it need to spell that out? Or can it pretty much say this, that we have the option to offer that to them? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it needs to either spell it out, or you're just gonna have to go through a separate step and come back to the council. I think, you could probably have some discretion, where it's like in the ordinance that it's at council discretion and approval.
The council would have to do this anyway, because we have a salary range for a new officer.
Yeah.
So we would have to make an offer, and if it was accepted, then the council would have to adjust the salary ordinance to state the new officer will be hired at X amount of dollars, and this would just be included in that discussion, is the way I understood it.
But that would be after the hire is actually made and the terms of agreement were done on what the hire is, correct?
Right, vacation can't go in a salary ordinance. It's either in a separate benefits ordinance, or it's in the employment manual adopted, that arguably can be adopted by ordinance.
So would you, adding the amendment, be in effect doing that?
Doing what?
An amendment to the policy manual, wouldn't that in effect be doing what you're saying?
Well, and it doesn't have to be adopted by ordinance, so we don't know, for example, if our current employment manual is adopted by ordinance. But what I'm saying is that if you make the change to the employment manual, what I was advised is that we have to go through the procedures to adopt that by ordinance. A lot of bigger municipalities do that. We have, I don't think have, maybe it was in the past, I don't know, but I know there've been a lot of talks about changes to the employment manual, and a lot of times it's just an HR company comes in and goes through and makes changes. So we just need to do it that way. So I guess I'm saying that I'm just reminding you, like procedurally, you can just go through and change the employment manual. I mean, that's what I'm saying, if that's what you want to do. Or you can just now, pull everything out of there, and because sometimes, these things come up where you want to have benefit discussions per employee, but you don't want them in the whole manual, because it's, it's a much larger document. So, what some other people do is they have a salary ordinance, they have a benefit ordinance, then they have the employment manual.
So I'm thinking the benefit ordinance is the way to go.
But my thinking is, it's okay to have something, the wording like Scott has it, that lets it up entirely. Scott comes up, he looks at this person, he thinks they ought to get so much cash, so much vacations, so much this, but this council okays that each time. I don't want anything written in there where it becomes just standard, that it just, like everybody that comes along gets something, It needs to be really up to our discretion on what so that if, we might want to give more cash and less holiday, or more holiday and less cash, or whatever. But it just doesn't become the thing that happens every time without this council really thinking about it. And on the vacation, the only thing I got is whatever we decide on vacation or whatever, is that if somebody starts January the 1st, and they're going to get, say we all decide that they get 2 weeks vacation, when do they get the 2 weeks paid? January the 2nd, or at the end of the year, or half, 1 week in July and 1 week at Christmas, or what? I don't like paying people ahead of time.
I would presume if they took a week off in August, that would be the vacation pay that they got at the time that they took the vacation,
We need to,
but
Some places pay it ahead.
What do you mean by pay ahead?
Well, they just, no matter when they take it, like,
Okay, you're saying like if I started January 1st, I'm gonna take that first week off? I would step in at that point and decline their request. I would say no. Because one, they're gonna have a probationary period. So during that time, we would have to have an exception to allow someone to take PTO time during that time. Pardon?
which probationary period is how long?
6 months.
it's very common in the business world for people to get vacation time and sick day time and stuff like that based on hours worked. Okay, so you work 40 hours and you accumulate 1.6 PTO days. Okay, it's not really called sick time and vacation time. It's PTO days. It's one big pool, and you accumulate the time as you work throughout the months and years, and you use it however you want. Okay, so it takes some of this argument away. Okay, you hire a guy on January 1st. He may have to work 2 or 3 weeks before he's accumulated enough hours to get an 8-hour sick day.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, I think, a system that we ought to adopt and move towards. As far as being able to offer people vacation, somebody that's applying for a job, they want to know the benefits. Okay, and I see what Scott's saying. Well, the book says you have to work here for 5 years and you only get 1 hour, 1 week's vacation or something like that. That's pretty old thinking. Okay,
go with 1 year.
When last place I hired on, it's all about negotiation. Okay, and people will negotiate to get.
I agree, and that's why I was saying it needs to be up to the board and Scott, so that whatever person comes along, we negotiate that pay, because, like we were telling Scott,
Our salary ordinance states the pay and stuff.
a couple of years ago, we increased those, holidays from 7 of them to 14 of them, or 13. So right there is an extra week that they get paid, in a year. And so as long as we can negotiate and it's not cut in stone, we got to accumulate the time.
We need to stay competitive with the rest of the world. Okay? I suppose there's a time in this country where nobody got any vacation days, and no holidays.
Yeah, well, that's what we are, actually. We're looking at a lot of towns like we did several years ago, towns our size, and what they pay. And we've got a fairly generous package now. We can't compare it to a guy that's full-time in Lafayette or the county that, we need to look at small towns. Some of them pay a marshal $5,000 a year, and that's it. But it's what your needs are. But
You have to take your demographics into consideration. We are a Tippecanoe County. We're not a low-populated county.
I think we're very competitive.
I think you guys are agreeing. I think you're both saying that, yes, this would be a good thing to have. So we just need to figure out how to get there. Because Reed's saying, us signing this ain't, maybe not the best. So could we have an ordinance for the next meeting that says pretty much this, that this is the vacation schedule and the council has the discretion to consider previous experience directly related to their position?
Yeah, the main thing that the council needs to decide is if you're going to change, if you're going to, ahead of time, have a different vacation policy for this specific police employee, and you're going to make that change. If you were going to do that, then that would be probably fine to put in the employment manual. But it sounds like you're wanting to have more oversight or discretion over it. So if that's the case, then I think you're going to need to have it more flexible, like the salary ordinance, where once we get it, you can have something that says, there's this range, but it's gonna be a second step, once you get and talk to this guy, then you're gonna have, these are the specific parameters. So those are the two options. We either wanna have it, with some set amount for this specific employee that's different than others, or we need to change it so that we have the flexibility to basically do two steps.
On our salary ordinance, we have some footnotes in different job classifications. Would it be appropriate to add this as?
No, just, they just are very technical with those kind of things.
Okay.
And what I looked into, you can't do it in salary ordinance. But you can do a separate benefit ordinance.
It's not like an executive position where they can do the negotiating for themselves with their new employer. It's state, for what the state before has noted, is very specific on how vacation time is kept separate from hours outside of, when I worked for the state before, you had to work so many hours before you accumulated vacation time, but that's the only way that they want to, it was by hours, it had nothing to do with the salary, with my pay. So,
So we take this paragraph, and where do we put it?
We put it with our existing benefit policy, vacation policy, in the policy manual.
But he's saying to have that discretion, you have to have a benefits ordinance, or they can't have. That's what Reed's saying,
What do we currently have?
just your policy manual.
That was passed by ordinance.
No, so like in
Arguably,
19,
but we don't know. So, yeah, we would have to, we can't, this time knowing, that because we've researched it, like if we're gonna make a change through the employment manual, and all we have to do is adopt our employment manual by ordinance. That's all I'm saying.
I would just rather have the separate benefits.
But if we're gonna do it in two steps, then we're gonna have to adopt an entire employment manual twice. And I think that there's more flexibility in having a document that is one page that we're used to, that's similar to the salary ordinance. And it's, basically saying what actually is, you put a footnote in the salary ordinance, no. Can you do a separate about benefit ordinance? Yes. It's just,
Well, I think we have to go on the assumption that our policy manual was adopted by ordinance, because
no.
that's been a
No.
guide. Well, let's say that it wasn't, and we've been following through it. What's the downside? What's the negative? State Board of Accounts is gonna say, you didn't do that right, you didn't cross your I's, dot your T's, and at that time, make you pass an ordinance to adopt your policy manual? Nobody's saying it wasn't, we just don't know because somebody can't dig it out of the files.
We know that if we do it now, what we have to do. That's the only part of the analysis that matters. If we don't know what was done, it doesn't matter, because if we did it wrong the last time, it doesn't mean we can do it wrong this time. That's all I'm saying.
because remember in 19, the council had made all of those changes to the policy manual, but then this council came in January and changed it all. And then Jen started the new update on the policy manual, or the employee manual, which still isn't adopted. But since those changes, even though the council voted on them all, pretty much what you're asking for right now is kind of almost what they already voted for the police. And to change for you and Mark. But it's null and void, because supposedly it's not in a printed policy manual. So even if they vote on it tonight, correct me if I'm wrong, Reed, they're going to have to do a whole reprinted policy manual, correct? For it to be in
Yeah.
effect, and then they have to vote to pass that.
Yeah, there are procedural requirements that you have to go through to adopt something by ordinance.
Or they can just make an ordinance without doing the policy manual thing, right?
Yeah, or you can just do a benefits ordinance, but, that's what, was pretty clear from the research, that on this issue, there's a specific state code that applies, that says it has to be adopted by ordinance. And, arguably, there are many other provisions of the employment agreement that you can amend that don't apply. So does every change to the employment manual have to be adopted by an ordinance? No. If you're gonna include these in the employment manual for this purpose, then it does. So that's why, we don't know what was done in the past, but we know that we have to do it this way going forward. Like, that's all I'm saying, but you can't just do a vote and then,
So I agree with Jen, it sounds simpler with the salary ordinance, that we just then do a benefits ordinance. Vacation ordinance, whatever we're gonna call it then.
yeah, and I think I have a template like that other municipalities have done. Like, it's considered by state board of accounts kind of a better way, above board or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a good way to do it, so.
As long as it, I'm for it, as long as it leaves control to the council.
Well, if we can see the template and, I think to make Ron feel better, see what the template is and then, create one that seems to fit what we seem to be seeking here
Right.
to review.
Yeah, I mean,
That-
I
that
can
would be helpful.
do that before the next, I can do a draft of the benefits ordinance and, have some language, see what language I can find that gives the council some discretion and see what you guys get input from.
Because I like what Scott wrote here, I like that. It
Mhm.
seems like it's pretty good, it gives us the discussion, and the idea is there that we may need to offer, so.
I believe I took some of that wording from the suggestion you got from the attorney that you had got consulted with on that, and changed it to fit what that recommendation was, I believe.
Yeah, I haven't said anything about the content of this. All I've been saying is, we need to do procedure.
Okay. Well, I think that's the way to go, yes.
So does that procedure apply to the sick day carryover also?
Yes.
Yeah, everything they voted on is null and void.
So,
No, this council voted on that,
Voted,
Well,
on the sick day carryover.
oh, but it's not, it's not until they vote on the policy manual, so it's not effective.
yeah, I mean, if you could just let us know, like, what meeting it was at, then we can clarify that, but I don't remember not remembering is not saying that it didn't happen, but I don't remember it, so. Regardless, I know that I had been very clear that the only way to do that was by ordinance, which is not a vote at a meeting. So it would have been preparing an ordinance, we talked about those two things, so I don't think that step was done, and all that means is that we need to do it. Like, we need to get to
so
that
you
point.
can get that done by next meeting, is that okay?
Yeah,
You know
I
what-
think
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go that way.
Ash, understand?
Yeah. I'll do that.
Carla, did you have another question to follow?
Well, I think I guess I don't remember, yeah, I guess I'm like Reed, I don't remember voting on the carryover and the wording in this, I don't remember seeing this specific wording before, and so I do have some concerns as to the way it's worded, but I want to read it over a little more. Not on first reading, it's a little concerning for me, but I don't want to say anything until I have time to really digest it, so.
So how do you want me to proceed with advertising? Pardon?
With the guy, you mean with hiring a person?
Yeah, because this is kind of, in limbo.
Benefits
I-
and fees.
I would get it out there, if nothing's happening overnight, I'd get it out there and advertise, if somebody calls you tomorrow morning or in 10 days, say that you'll have a package for them in a month. You know, say we're in the process, in the middle of reworking the package, it enables you to offer different things in a different way, and it just now just has to be okayed by the council.
My preference would be that we as the town government should have our benefits in line before we ask somebody to apply. That way, I can tell them, this is what you're applying for. Because some people will read that and say, I'm not gonna apply. Or somebody might see it and say, okay, that's great, I'll apply.
All right, just wait a month then. Anything else?
That's all I got.
Thank you. Okay, the allowance dockets. Is there any discussion on these? Okay, I would move to approve the allowance dockets from July 2021 and August 2021.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Stan to approve the allowance dockets from July 2021 and August 2021. Is there any discussion? Okay, how do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So those are approved, 5-0. Okay, we're moving on to the claims. I move to approve Church, Hiddle, and Antrim invoice number 233099 dated August 17, 2021 in the amount of $1,772.50.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve the Church, Hiddle, and Antrim invoice. Is there any discussion before we vote? How do you vote, Ashley?
No.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that passes 4-0. 4-1, sorry. I move to approve EconoSigns invoice number 10-969771 dated August 18th, 2021 in the amount of $214.48.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve the EconoSigns invoice. Is there any discussion before we vote? How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that's approved 5-0. I move to approve Elemental Technology invoice EFW 277079IN dated August 31st, 2021 for the amount of $372.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve this Elemental Technology invoice. Is there any further discussion? How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that's approved 5-0. I move to approve FJF Services invoice 27090 dated August 17th, 2021 in the amount of $1,055.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve the FJF Services invoice. Is there any discussion? Okay, how do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that passes 5-0. I move to approve the mileage sheet from Bridget Cadwalder dated August 31st, 2021, the amount of $59.98.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve the mileage from Bridget. Is there any discussion before we vote? Okay, Ashley, how do you vote?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that passes 5-0. I move to approve the following invoices from Murtaugh Law. Invoice 840 dated August 22nd, 2021 in the amount of $2,158. Invoice 841 dated August 22nd, 2021 in the amount of $272. Invoice 852 dated September 8th, 2021 for $690. And invoice 853 dated September 8th, 2021 for $180, all totaling $3,300.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve these 4 Murtaugh Law invoices for $3,300. Is there any discussion? Okay, how do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that passes 5-0. The next one is for myself. It's when we sent our certified disconnect letters, I took them to the post office and I had to pay $116.91. It's invoice number 7, dated September 3rd, 2021. Does somebody else want to?
Make a motion to pay Jen's postage.
Second.
There's been a motion made by Stan and seconded by Carla to pay my postage in the amount of $116.91 for the certified letters I had to send for our disconnect notices. Is there any discussion before we vote? How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
and I'll abstain from voting, so that passes 4-0 with one abstaining. I move to approve Sharon's Flowers invoice 46042 dated July 28th, 2021, in the amount of $65.50.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve the Sharon's Flowers invoice. Is there any discussion?
I got a question.
Yes.
It's got here on the sheet 4/22/21, Michelle Freework Flowers. Michelle, did you ever receive those?
Yeah.
Okay, well, never heard that you did or didn't, so, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that passes 5-0. I move to approve Taft invoice 3783855 dated August 31st, 2021, in the amount of $860.
Second.
It's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve this Taft invoice. Is there any discussion? How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Finally, I move to approve utility supply company invoices 1370954 dated August 9th, 2021, in the amount of $271.20, and invoice 1373268 dated August 26th, 2021, in the amount of $1,300, totaling $1,571.20.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve these utility supply company invoices for $1,571.20. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Yes. The man in the back.
So the $1,300 bill, that is a insurance or warranty fee for the equipment we use to read the meters.
The new one?
No,
Oh,
no, that we've had since the beginning. It's the portable modem that I take in the truck, it reads and grabs hold of it. So, and I hadn't seen this bill before, so I asked him, I said, what's the $1,300? He says, well, it's really the insurance policy on that, it'll be replaced for free if something happens. I said, so what's a new one cost? You know? He said, $8,500. So I just wanted you to have perspective on that, you know, so you're paying, what is that? You're paying 15% insurance on it every year.
how many years have you had it?
We got it in October of 18, so we're right at 3 years almost. So it's just something to consider. I'm not saying no, don't pay the insurance, because you don't have to. But I'm just saying that, you know, and here's the kicker, the farther you get into it, you say, well, now it's 5 years old, now it's 10 years old, we better keep paying it, you know? But I just want you to understand what that fee was.
Yeah, I thought it was because we had to pay that fee to update. We do not have that
No,
yet.
no, that's the annual fee that we pay each year, that's going to go from 24 to 34.
Okay.
This is something separate from that.
Okay. We have a discussion about that. What do you guys think?
I think by the time you don't pay insurance fee, you'll break even.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Right, I just wanted you to make an informed decision.
Especially
Thank you.
since it's 3 years, 4 years old.
And it covers anything?
Yes.
Like you drop it down,
Total replacement, yes,
use it as a frisbee, run it over with your truck?
possibly.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll continue with that. Ashley, how do you vote?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so paying for insurance.
Hey, Ken, before you move on to reports, we found the minutes, or I found the minutes and I showed them to read regarding Scott's thing. On January 11th, 2021, Marshall Taylor addressed the council to consider changing the wording regarding vacation for a full-time deputy. He requested to allow sick days to be rolled over to be able to accumulate up to 20 days. Ashley Stevenson stated that these changes should be made for Mark. Ron stated that he does not think so. Just because they change it from one department does not mean they need to give it to another. So no vote was ever given on that or approved. So yes, the old council did approve that rollover in 19, but then you guys voted to void all of that out. Scott brought it back up in January of this year, but there was no vote taken on it. So just.
What day was that, January 11th?
Yes, the January 11th town council meeting. And then also this sharing flowers invoice was not for me, that was for Scott.
They only sent, they had not sent an invoice before. Like, or that's still on the invoice. I think is what he was asking.
Yes,
Like
it
it
should
was-
have on the invoice, I would like to.
Like it says paid.
Because you guys personally paid
Right.
for.
I think he was just making
I
sure you
was
got
just
it.
wondering if you ever got them, because you never said anything. So that's all I wanted. Did you like them? Did you enjoy them?
It was
I
loud.
got
Who doesn't
paid
enjoy-
because,
I thought maybe somebody had to drag you off the floor.
pretty much, pretty much.
She said, from Ron Kohler, this is some sort of joke.
I thought they were poison, but they were nice.
Okay, on to the reports.
Glad you enjoyed it, though.
I did.
I move to approve the following July 2021 reports. The appropriation report, the bank reconciliation, the fund report, and the revenue report.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve the 4 reports from July 2021. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. How do you vote? Ashley?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
Okay, so they passed 5-0. And the August 2021 reports we do have now, but I've not looked over them, so I'll put them on October's agenda. All right, our minutes. I move to approve the following group of minutes. These are the final minutes that were in a Dropbox and even printed in your packet. May 27th, 2021 Utility Board, May 27th, 2021 Town Council, June 15th, 2021 Utility Board, June 15th, 2021 Town Council, July 12th, 2021 Utility Board, July 12th, 2021 Town Council, July 16th, 2021 Executive Session, July 16th, 2021 Special Meeting, and July 27th, 2021 Special Meeting.
I'll have the other ones to you guys in the next week.
Cool. Is there a second for those?
I second it.
Okay, there's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Stan to approve those 9 minutes. Is there any discussion? Okay, how do you vote, Ashley?
No.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that passes 4-1. So we have August 9th, 2021 Utility Board, August 9th, 2021 Town Council, September 1, 2021, the budget work session, and then the ones from today. Okay. Finally, we are to public comments, and I know there's at least one. Would you please state your name and address for the record? Thank you.
My name is Trish Brown, and I'm here in reference to Redbird Cafe at 696 Walnut Street, Dayton, Indiana. September is National Suicide Awareness Month. Every year, we team up with NAMI, the National Association for Mental Illness, to try to help raise funds for them to do the services that they do. We actually do raise funds for them multiple times a year, and this is the big one that we get involved with. This is a 100% nonprofit. Restaurant, our NAMI is nonprofit, as well as on this day, our restaurant will be open this Sunday, the 26th of September, and we are donating 100% of our profits and sales to NAMI as well that day. So we will not be making any money, everything will be going to them. We did this ride last year. It was just brought up for the moment because we were being released out of the COVID things. And last year, between the ride And what we were able to do, we were able in that one day to raise $4,400. I did reach out to Area Plan. Area Plan said there's nothing that we're in violation of with our zoning or anything like that to be able to continue to do this. They just asked that I come and let you guys know that we were doing it. Like I said, we aren't making anything. I believe most of my staff is even volunteering their labor hours that day. I think I've only had like one that say, I really need paid. And I will probably end up taking that out of my own pocket so that I can donate those as well. It's just something we do. It's something I'm passionate about. It's a service we all need, especially right now with the sign of the times and the things that are going on right now. So I just wanted to make you all aware that on September 26th, they are doing a bike ride, motorcycle ride. I've already met with Marshall. Marshall is fully aware. Him and I met to see if there was anything I needed to include him on. I was able to get him the route that they're going to be taking tonight and everything, so he can notify anybody he needs to notify, because we do want to make it as safe as we possibly can.
So you don't need any vote or anything, you just need to inform us.
No,
Yeah,
I just
okay,
wanted to
good.
let you know.
Yeah, good, thank
Okay?
you. Thank you.
All right.
Marshall Taylor evidently will help with traffic.
If needed, they're only estimating about 50 bikes. This year, that's what they're estimating.
Is Scott gonna be on a bike?
I don't know.
Were you on a bike?
I don't know. I do know that last week at the ride they had at NHK on Sunday, there was about 50 bikes that went to that one. And that was not for Nami, that was obviously for my cousin, so.
Sounds like a good cause.
Is this something we can hang up here since it's nonprofit on the window?
Probably, should be.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Reed, she said you knew about it, so you must be riding in a bike in it too? Very cool.
No.
Can't wait to see Reed and Scott on their motorcycles. That'll be very
I
exciting.
didn't say that, I said that because
I know.
he works with Nami as well on other events. We've both been co-sponsors.
One's
I
gonna
know,
ride-
it's more exciting because you're Reed.
one's gonna ride in front, one's gonna cling on the back.
Oh, yeah.
The sidecar.
Riding-
Yeah,
Oh,
side
there you
car.
go.
Sidecar.
I like it. No. Okay, are there any other public comments? Okay, council comments. I had written down to remind everyone of the date change for our budget adoption, but now it is October 12th, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Hopefully, Michelle's gonna email Maria. Okay. Anyone else have a comment? Ashley?
No.
Stan?
I just saw before I came in here, for the Corporal Sanchez in Logansport, they had 9,500 Patriot riders to escort him home.
Yeah.
Ron?
Yeah, a couple things.
Colin, you wanna go first?
Yeah, I have nothing.
Okay,
Wait, before I abruptly adjourn when Ron's done, if everybody, the council could just sign or initial these before you go, that would be helpful, so we can get them right to them.
And I'm gonna send this down, there's 2 copies, please sign both.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead, sign. All of yours
Sign,
signed,
yes, those ones have lines to be signed, yes. The other one's initial.
are you ready?
Okay, now,
Before the meeting, Doug and Vicki Willis, Doug called and asked if he's gonna bring up here a request for all of us that we can look at it for the next meeting. This is a request for unimproved alley abandonment next to his house. So,
Mayor?
up here on 38, there's an alley, the little white colonial house with the picket fence, real cute as a button, huge pin oak tree on the left, a red oak, next to apartments and stuff, but there's an alley between them, and he would like to abandon that, and there's a big story behind this.
Okay.
And And Scott, I got one for you here too. So it just, we need to probably put it on the agenda for next month. Be thinking about it. And Scott knows all about it, anybody needs to ask him. The second thing is we need some time, I'd like to put on the agenda, we need to update our animal ordinance that I think the old board adopted, and we added horses, a horse for each 2 acres up to 5 horses. But in that ordinance, in our present ordinance, we have chickens aren't allowed, and there's a lot of people that have chickens, and we need to, in my opinion, make it legal so that people can have them. But whatever this board wants to do. And I, at the time when we did the last ordinance, that asked area plan about including with the horses, oxen. And Sally Faye said that just get the horse one done now, and then later adopt oxen or other large animal into there. And so our ordinance basically, only the people that can have a horse or something large would be the people that have 2 acres or more. And there's only 3 places in Dayton, Indiana that have that land, and it'll be up to 5 animals.
My house is so close.
Yeah.
Just missed that color.
But with our historic stuff over there, it's sort of like a couple people would like to maybe put an oxen in our horse fields, so, and it looked neat, I think, so I'd like to have, or think about that. Then the last thing is, in the last month or 5 weeks, there's been 3 developers called and asked about, on the west side of Dayton Road, south out here, about buying part of our land, developing it, developing on down the road, and all of them are asking what's in town and what's out of town. So we need to be thinking about that, what we'd like to see happen down there. Just everybody keep it in their mind. Do we want to try to, I certainly don't, but try to promote more housing on the west side? Of course, it's out in the county. I've told them basically they can build houses, they just don't have city water and sewer. So just something that's coming down the road. I think the last guy that asked about, he wants to combine our land with the next farm down the road. He's going to request Jen, I told him to get a hold of you, he's going to request to come to the next meeting, I think. So just be prepared when somebody comes. Should be at the next meeting. And I think that's all I got.
Okay. Carly, you had nothing? Okay. This meeting is adjourned. Take one of them down, that's the alley abandonment.
On
That'll be the next meeting or two, so.
future meetings, can we just have like this board packet and review it? Trying to look at
See,
3
yeah.
or 4 pages.
Locking everybody out.
Can't let it just be short.